to Dennis Montreal Beer Reviews. Today's episode is quite special to me for two specific reasons. First of all, I guess the most important reason is that today is my anniversary review. It's been exactly a year since I've started doing these beer reviews on YouTube. It was kind of spontaneous at the time. I was kind of inspired by people like Harlock. I guess that was my initial inspiration, maybe Chad as well. So I was kind of interested in trying different beers for the sake of reviewing them as well as for the sake of me trying them. And I've got to say this year has been really interesting for me this past year. I've met loads of interesting people, both reviewers or just people who like beer. I've met some of them in person, made some good connections who share opinions and just share the knowledge and share the love for the good beer. I've vastly expanded my palate, I guess. I've tried a number of good, interesting styles I've never had before. I went into beers from other markets, like the Ontario market, which is different from the local beer selection we get here. I've had some beers from the States. Really excited to sort of continue that activity in the future, which will only become easier over time. But yeah, this has been great. I'm happy I'm doing these things. Even if you find my reviews to be not that great, I'm not saying they're great either, but at least I sort of improve with time. And for my own sake, this is great because I'm doing something interesting, exciting, sort of interactive as well. Just useful for my own sake. Either way, the second reason is that today is the last episode, episode 20 of season 4, and looking back at that, sort of giving the afterthoughts, I made sort of a promise, or I was hoping to review 20 different styles of beer throughout the season. And now, if you look back at the 19 episodes prior to this, I've not repeated a single beer style twice, so that's good. Which brought me to try some new styles which I've never had before. Also revisit all-time favorite styles. Also, I said that I'm going to dedicate half of the season, every other episode, of the American craft beer. I did that as well. Today's episode is the last of the 10 American craft beer I reviewed this season. So those are the reasons for this episode being special. Now let's talk about the beer for today. So today's beer is the last bottle I brought from New York City. It's the last of the 7, I guess. And this was probably the most expensive of them all. I think it was about $7–8 for Bomber. This is Stone Sublimely Self-Righteous Ale, and this has got a special beer. That's why I've been saving this for a special occasion like today. Today is a perfect occasion for it. I didn't want to review just an ordinary kind of beer for my anniversary review. First of all, talking about the style. Technically, this is still an American strong ale, which makes me come to the thought that I'm repeating the style. But then I read about it, and initially, courtesy of Barry, actually, from Barry's Beery, for helping me select this beer back in New York City. He said this is more like a black IPA, which is an emergent kind of new style. And then I read about it. Some people actually believe that this is a new word in the beer style selection range, whatever. So this will have, apparently this will have the nice hoppiness and basic characteristics of a good American IPA, as well as some roasty malts and coffee chocolate kind of undertones to it. So being a strong beer, this is 8.7 ABV. I'm really interested to try this beer. For the glassware, I'll use my small little snifter. There's many types of glasses you can use for this kind of beer. There's no set one, I guess. I'm using the quarter trick again, with the Canadian one this time. To open a nice stone cap, because at the beginning, the first one I've had didn't open that great. Oh, right away I can smell the roasted malts. So the dark chocolate coffee kind of espresso smell to it. Right. Let's pour a little to the snifter. Great. So far it kind of looks like a porter, or maybe an Imperial Stout to me. Loads of carbonation, small bubbles on the side of the glass. Pretty nice, really frothy, light brown head to it, and very dark opaque body. Can't see through it at all. But then here's the trick. It smells like a very juicy West Coast style IPA. Nice juicy grapefruit, very floral feel to it. A fair amount of sweetness, I guess. But the hops certainly, dominate over the roastiness that I initially smelled. But yeah, you still get the chocolatey and espresso-like notes. But in the background, up front, you get the juicy hops. Cheers! Here's to my first year on YouTube being a reviewer, I guess. This is quite unique. It's the first time I'm trying something like it. So it starts like a very, full-flavored West Coast style IPA with a nice, strong hop bite, nice juicy, citrusy grapefruit notes, to caramel, and then the finish, which still has that, it's got that hop bitterness to it, but then the roasted chocolatey espresso, as I keep repeating myself, but those kind of notes really linger in the back of the palate. And the juicy fruit, the juicy citrus notes kind of fade away, but the bitterness lingers on together with the roastiness. This is quite unique. It's definitely got some nice crisp carbonation to it. And I'd say this is medium to full body. This is quite thick. Being it's almost 9% ABV. This is not tasting like booze at all. That's very great. The hoppiness is sort of, the hops are prominent, and it reminds me of the Arrogant Bastard, I guess. That has to do with there's been a stone beer, but this is a great, intense taste to it. So I'll come back, but this is an outstanding beer. So far it's a 10 out of 10 beer. Right, so I'm back with this excellent, outstanding, truly amazing beer, really. Everything I had said about the beer before leaving for the little break, which was actually kind of, turned out into a half-hour, 40-minute kind of break. I've had most of the bomber. There's just a little bit left in the bottom of the bottle. Really outstanding beer. The alcohol's well masked, so you're not going to taste it much at all. And being almost a 9% beer, this is really, impressive. And the flavour profile is amazing. You get the best of both worlds, the IPA, the double IPA, and the porter, or maybe an Imperial Stout kind of thing. Fairly sweet, nice, solid hop bite. Sorry, not too intense, I guess, for all the more advanced kind of hop heads. This would be not too much, but you still get enough hoppiness in it. Nice juicy kind of grapefruit orange feel to it. A bit of caramel to back it off. Some nice lingering bitterness, and then in the finish, especially as you have more of the beer, as it warms up, kind of opens up with more roastiness, nice espresso, bit kind of burnt kind of taste you get. It's fairly sweet as well. Carbonation drops, but there's still some crispness to it. Very smooth overall, being both crisp and smooth. This is really interesting. And then you get some chocolate, a bit of that smokiness with the back of the palate. Overall, just a tasty beer from the first sip to the swallow to the aftertaste. Everything's excellent about it. So I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. I can't really help it. I guess I'm being a bit subjective. Maybe it's a 9, but for me, this is the best beer I've had in months. So that's what I'm going to give this. So 10 out of 10 for Stone Sublimely Self-Reg Ale. This being my second Stone beer, I prefer this to the Oak Arrogant Bastard. So this is my favourite so far. And the Arrogant Bastard was great on its own, so this shows something about this beer. I'm happy I've picked up a bomber. I guess that's how you get it. I don't think it comes in 6-packs or anything. Unfortunately, it's not sold in Canada, otherwise it'd be my go-to beer, really special favourite beer. But next time I'm in the States, probably in mid-March, I'll definitely try to find a bomber and to bring back as well. Great beer, really recommend. All of you lucky guys in the States who can get Stone beers, try this if you haven't, or just comment if you have tried this beer. I'd like to hear your opinion as well. Tell me if it's as good as I think it is. Thanks for Barry for helping me pick this beer as well. And that wraps up season 4. That's it. Hoping this was fairly interesting and sometimes useful or informative. I've tried my best, but next season I'm hoping to make my beer reviews a bit more concise. I'm not going to be as strict with the styles, but I still will look forward to expanding my beer knowledge into different styles and trying interesting, unique beers, and maybe throw in a few cheap, crappy ones as well, just for the hell of it. But either way, this was interesting. Happy anniversary to me. Stick to good beer, guys, and see you next season, season 5.